If you're out in the woods at night, there are a few things you should never do. If you hear something, don't answer it. If it sounds like someone you know, don't follow it. And if something starts moving outside your camp, pretend you didn't hear it. Welcome to Campfire Static, where the woods watch back. Story 1. David had hunted the Upper Peninsula of Michigan for over 15 years. The forests there felt older than memory. Thick pine, black spruce, and stretches of silence so deep it pressed against your ears. He'd grown up hearing stories about the dogman, campfire whispers, passed down from older hunters who swore something walked those woods that wasn't entirely animal and wasn't entirely human. David respected those stories, but he'd never believed them. Not really. His camp sat miles off any main road, tucked between a marsh and a ridgeline that cut the wind. Opening day of the weekend hunt came and went quietly. He saw movement, 2 bucks slipping between trees at a distance, but nothing lined up for a clean shot. Still, it was a good day. Calm. Normal. That night, something felt off. The fire burned low, struggling as if the air itself had thickened. No owls called, no insects hummed. The woods felt empty. Then he heard it. Movement beyond the tree line. Heavy, but controlled. Not crashing, stepping, watching. David stayed still, hand hovering near his flashlight, but he didn't turn it on. Light made you visible. The sound circled once, then stopped. Eventually, exhaustion pulled him into his tent, though sleep came in short, uneasy bursts. More than once, he woke thinking something stood just outside. By morning, he told himself it was nothing, just the woods. Before dawn, he climbed into his tree stand, settling into the cold silence. The forest sat in that gray-blue light where shapes didn't quite look right. Then he saw movement. Low. Quiet. A deer, he thought. It stepped into a clearing, partially hidden by brush. David raised his rifle slowly, steadying his breath. A slight shift. It stopped. Its head turned. It had heard him. Then it stood up. Not like a deer. It rose onto 2 legs, tall and unnatural. Its outline stretched higher than the brush, its shoulders rolling forward in a way that felt wrong. The face was worse. Wolf-like, but not fully. Too aware, too human. It looked straight at him. David froze. Neither moved. Then it began to circle his tree. Slow, deliberate. David tracked it with his eyes, not daring to move the rifle. Every instinct told him the same thing. Don't provoke it. A low sound rumbled from below, not quite a growl, then scrape. Claws dragged down the trunk. The stand vibrated. David's chest tightened. Then it made a sound he'd never forget. A low, broken laugh. Brief, but unmistakably wrong. Something caught between human and animal. He shut his eyes for a second. When he opened them again, it was gone. No footsteps, no sound, just silence. He stayed in the stand for hours. When he finally climbed down, his legs shook with every step. Deep gouges marked the bark, far higher than any animal should reach. At the base, tracks pressed into the dirt. They started like a wolf's, then changed. Longer, distorted, almost human. He packed quickly. Too quickly. The woods weren't quiet anymore. Twigs snapped in the distance. Leaves shifted without wind. Once, he heard something mimic the faint clink of his gear from somewhere off to his left. By the time he started hiking out, the light was already fading. Dusk came early. Or maybe it just felt that way. Halfway down the trail, footsteps. Close. Matching him. He stopped. They stopped. He walked. They followed. For miles. Never rushing, never showing itself. At one point, he heard something ahead. His own voice. Faint. Calling his name. David? He didn't respond. Didn't look. He kept walking. Running would make him prey. So he walked. Steady. Controlled. Every nerve screaming. When he finally saw the glow of a gas station ahead, he didn't stop until he stepped onto pavement. The footsteps didn't follow. Or at least, he couldn't hear them anymore. Under the harsh lights, he turned back toward the tree line. For a moment, he thought he saw something standing there. Tall. Watching. Then headlights passed. And it was gone. David never went back. And when people told Dogman stories after that, he didn't argue. He just listened. Story 2. Living in Washington, D.C., you get used to noise, sirens, voices, footsteps, at all hours. Silence isn't something you think about until you hear it for the first time. That's why James booked the cabin. A real reset, he said. No traffic, no people, just quiet. The listing promised rustic Appalachian charm, a small cabin deep in the woods, far from anything resembling city life. The photos looked perfect, but from the moment we left the highway, something felt off. GPS dropped out about 20 minutes before we arrived. After that, it was just a narrow dirt road winding deeper and deeper into forest. The trees grew closer the farther we went, their branches arching over the road like they were closing behind us. "This feels wrong," I said. James tightened his grip on the wheel. "It's just remote." Remote didn't feel like the right word. When the cabin finally came into view, I felt it immediately. It looked like the listing, but not quite. The wood was darker, weathered in a way the photos hadn't shown. The windows reflected the trees too well, like they didn't want to be looked through. And the silence? It wasn't peaceful. It was heavy. "You feel that?" I asked. James forced a laugh. "You've been in the city too long." We tried to settle in, unpacked, started a fire, poured wine. For a while, it almost felt normal. But as the sun dipped behind the trees, the feeling returned, stronger this time. The woods outside weren't just dark, they were thick, like the light stopped trying to go through them. Then came the first sound, a branch snapping. "Probably a deer," James said. I nodded, but I didn't believe it. Another sound followed, closer, leaves crunching, slow, deliberate. I moved to the window and pressed closer, trying to see past the reflection. Nothing, just trees. "We're fine," James said, though his voice wasn't as steady as before. But the noises didn't stop. They multiplied. Not loud, not frantic, just constant movement just beyond sight. Circling, waiting. By full dark, I didn't want to look outside anymore. That's when we heard the knock. 3 slow taps on the front door. We froze. No one should have been there. No other houses for miles. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. James stood up. Probably just wind or something hitting the wood. Another knock, harder this time. He hesitated, then walked toward the door. "Wait," I said. "Look first." He leaned to the side, peering through the narrow window beside it. Nothing. "No one's there," he said. Then the third knock came, so hard it rattled the frame. James pulled the door open. Cold air rushed in. The porch was empty. No movement, no sound, just trees standing still in the dark. He stepped outside anyway. "Hello?" Nothing answered him. I stayed inside, watching him, my stomach tightening. He came back in slowly, shutting the door faster than he opened it. We locked it. After that, neither of us spoke much, because the night wasn't done with us yet. The footsteps started not long after, slow, measured, circling the cabin. We could hear them moving from one side to the other, crunching over leaves, pausing just outside the walls. Every time I gathered the courage to look out, nothing. But once, I thought I saw something between the trees. Too tall, too still, gone the moment I focused on it. "Did you see that?" I asked. James didn't answer right away, because that's when the voices started. Faint, low, almost conversational, like people talking just out of range of understanding. But there were no people out there. The voices moved with the footsteps, circling the cabin together, never resolving into words. Then came the tapping again, not at the door, on the windows. Soft, one after another, moving along the glass like something tracing the cabin from the outside. I grabbed James's arm. "We need to leave, now." "It's pitch black," he said. "We can't even see the road." Before we could decide anything, the forest changed again. Lights appeared between the trees, small, flickering, moving slowly between the trunks. Not like flashlights, not steady, more like lanterns carried by something that didn't walk like a person should. We both stared, unable to speak. The lights drifted deeper into the woods, weaving between trees, then stopped all at once. And everything went silent. No footsteps, no voices, no wind. Just stillness so complete it felt wrong. That silence was worse than anything before it. We didn't sleep. We sat on the couch, lights on, waiting for morning like it was something that had to be survived. Every creak of the cabin made us jump. Every shadow felt like it had weight. And then, finally, light. The first pale edge of dawn slipped through the trees. James stood, grabbing the keys. I was already packing before he said anything. We didn't talk. We just left. As soon as the road became visible, we were gone. I looked back as we drove away. The cabin stood there, perfectly still. But for just a second, I thought I saw movement at the tree line. Watching. I turned forward and didn't look again. We didn't speak until we reached the highway and the world became loud again. And that's when I realized something I still can't shake. Out there, in those woods, you don't always know what you're hearing. And whatever was there that night, I don't think it ever wanted to come inside. Just to make sure we knew it was outside. Story 3. The road had been long enough that time stopped meaning much. Miles blended into miles. Highway lines stretched out like they were repeating themselves. The radio had given up an hour ago, turning into static, and the phone signal disappeared somewhere back near the last town that barely qualified as a town. He told himself he'd stop at the next real place he saw. That's when the diner appeared. Not on any sign he remembered, not marked on the map, just suddenly there, sitting off the road like it had always been there, waiting for him to notice it. A low, rectangular building with faded red lettering that simply read, "Eat." No town around it, no gas station, no houses, just parking lot, empty highway, and this diner. He hesitated for a moment longer than he should have, then pulled in anyway. The moment he stepped out of the car, the air felt off. Still. Too still. The diner door chimed when he entered, but the sound didn't echo the way it should have. It just stopped, like it was absorbed by the room. Inside, it was warm. Too warm. There were only a few customers scattered across the booths. A man alone in the corner, a couple near the window, a trucker at the counter. All of them looked normal at first glance. But something about them wasn't right. Not injuries, not anything obvious, just wrong. Too still when they weren't moving, too synchronized when they did, like they were following cues instead of instinct. Their eyes didn't linger. They didn't really look at anything. They just existed in place. He walked to an empty booth and sat down. That's when he heard it. A voice. Low. Close. "Don't drink the water." He froze slightly. No one reacted. No one looked his way. He glanced around the diner. Nothing. The waitress appeared before he even noticed her approach, menu in hand, glass of water already on the table. "Hey there," she said, smiling just a little too long. "You been driving far?" Her voice was perfect. Almost. Like it had been practiced instead of spoken. He forced a nod. "Yeah, just passing through." She set the menu down and tapped the glass lightly. Ice clinked too loud. "Good," she said. Then she walked away. He stared at the water. He didn't touch it. The diner filled with small sounds after that. Forks against plates. A distant radio playing something too faint to identify. The hum of fluorescent lights overhead. And underneath it all, something else. Murmurs. Not conversations. Fragments. From the trucker at the counter, he caught pieces like, "They don't leave if you don't notice them." From the couple by the window, "Last one that drank it stayed 3 days." He looked at them again. The couple wasn't eating. Their forks moved, but their plates never changed. The man in the corner never blinked. The trucker's reflection in the window didn't match his movements. He stood up too fast. The chair scraped the floor. Every head in the diner turned toward him at once. Not slowly, all at once. He swallowed hard. "Just checking the bathroom," he muttered. No one answered. The hallway was dim but empty. No sounds back there, no movement. Just a flickering light above a restroom door that buzzed like it was struggling to stay on. He didn't go in. He turned back, and that's when he saw it. Through the front window. His car. A second car parked behind it. Headlights on. Engine running. No one inside. He left quickly. Too quickly. The diner bell chimed again as he exited, but this time it sounded like it was coming from far away instead of right above him. He got in his car and locked the doors. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the engine behind him started. The second car pulled out. Followed. At first, he told himself it was coincidence. Same direction, same road, nothing unusual. But when he sped up, so did they. When he slowed down, they matched him. Always there, always behind. The road stretched endlessly ahead, trees pressing close on both sides like dark walls. He checked the rearview mirror again. Still there. Too close now. Too steady. "Come on," he muttered, pressing harder on the gas. The speed climbed. The car behind him didn't fall back. It got closer. Closer. Then, suddenly, it surged forward. Fast. Too fast. Closing the distance in seconds. He gripped the wheel, panic rising in his chest. "They're going to hit me." He blinked. Just once. And in that blink, the road ahead was empty. The mirror, too. No car behind him. No headlights. No sound except his engine and the wind outside. He slowed down slowly, heart still pounding. Looked again. Nothing. Just highway. Just darkness. Just miles ahead that didn't seem to end properly. He never saw the diner again, and when he checked the GPS later, there was nothing on the map where it had been. Only empty road. Like it had never existed at all. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you have a story that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand on end, share it here Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps the channel and allows me to curate more of these stories for you.